This was supposed to be a routine oversight hearing. Instead, it turned into one of the most emotionally charged exchanges Congress has seen in recent months, as Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman directly confronted Education Secretary Linda McMahon over civil rights, public education, and the future role of the federal government. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss moments like this, because these hearings are shaping real policy decisions that affect millions of students and families. Watson Coleman did not waste time easing into her questioning. She opened with a simple, direct yes or no question, asking whether illegal discrimination still exists in jobs and education against Black, brown, and other marginalized communities in the United States. Secretary McMahon acknowledged that discrimination still exists in some areas, a moment that initially suggested common ground. But that agreement quickly unraveled. The Congresswoman immediately followed up by asking why, if discrimination remains a reality, the Office for Civil Rights within the Department of Education has seen significant staffing and resource reductions. McMahon rejected the characterization that the office was being decimated, arguing instead that the department was restructuring and operating more efficiently while addressing a backlog of cases inherited from the previous administration. That explanation did not satisfy Watson Coleman. Her point was straightforward. If there is a backlog of civil rights complaints and discrimination still exists, why would the department reduce the very resources designed to investigate and enforce protections? This question goes to the heart of a broader national debate, whether efficiency reforms are actually masking a pullback from federal enforcement of civil rights law. As the exchange continued, Watson Coleman turned to migrant students, asking whether they should have access to public education resources. McMahon affirmed that migrant students do have access, but hesitated when pressed on whether they should continue receiving those resources at current levels. That hesitation opened the door to a much sharper line of questioning. McMahon attempted to deflect by citing President Trump's stated opposition to discrimination of any kind, including anti-Semitism and racial bias. But Watson Coleman cut through that defense, insisting she was not asking about the president's rhetoric, but about McMahon's own understanding and responsibility as Secretary of Education. At this point, the exchange became less about policy mechanics and more about accountability. If you are finding this breakdown helpful, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. These hearings are often clipped and shared without context, and our goal is to make sure you understand what is really being argued and why it matters. Your rhetoric means nothing to me. Watson Coleman made it clear she was judging the administration not by its stated values, but by its actions. She accused the Trump administration of corruption, abuse of power, and disregard for democratic norms. She cited arrests of judges and lawyers, political bullying, and the erosion of institutional trust, tying those concerns directly to the Department of Education's mission. Her message was blunt and unapologetic. The Department of Education, she said, is one of the most important institutions in the country, and anyone leading it should be ashamed to participate in an administration that, in her view, does not care about equal treatment or the rule of law. This exchange matters because it highlights a fundamental divide over what civil rights enforcement should look like in modern America. Is it enough to claim opposition to discrimination, or does that commitment require sustained federal oversight, funding, and enforcement? Can states be trusted to protect vulnerable students without strong federal accountability? Or does history suggest otherwise? These are not abstract questions. They affect funding formulas, civil rights investigations, school access, and the lived experiences of millions of children. If you want continued coverage that goes beyond sound bites and helps you understand the real implications of these moments, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Congressional hearings like this are where policy direction becomes visible, often before the public realizes what is changing. This was not just a heated exchange, it was a clear warning about the future of civil rights enforcement in education, and a reminder that how leaders answer questions under oath can reveal far more than prepared speeches ever will.